Do you know how important it is for you as a company to check the references on a candidate's resume? Well, Bill Humbert, who is the recruiter guy and the expert in this space, is going to give us some more information. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Maddie. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm wonderful also.
Now, it's really important that people get all of these wonderful tips and tricks from you because you've been doing recruiting for quite some time.
I have over 40 years. Talking about reference checks, many times what I've experienced when I've talked to CEOs and human resource folks, I ask them, so they're complaining because they can't find good cultural fit in candidates. And and so I ask, so what do you ask in your reference checks? And I hear, oh, we don't do reference checks. And I go, what? Why not? Well, they're no value. That's wrong. And we could get sued.
Whoa, getting sued is never a good thing. So let's talk about being sued first. Why can you be sued?
Well, you can be sued if you ask inappropriate questions, and you can be sued, but that's true of interviews too, right? You can be sued because, let's face it, anything a company does, they can get sued. I don't care what it is. Reference checks, interviews, managing people, poor products, poor services. The question is, are you training your people properly?
Training is something that you do best and you always have the greatest tips and tricks. Now, why is it important for companies to make sure that they're doing these reference checks because so many of them aren't?
That's so true. And it's unfortunate too for both the employee or future employee and for the company. And, I think what happens is there was a rumor that, companies could get sued, and some of them probably were because they were asking inappropriate questions. But what happened then was HR took over and they started asking questions that really didn't mean much. For instance, were the dates of employment such and such a date to so and so a date? Where is the person eligible for rehire? Well, that really doesn't tell you anything about a cultural fit.
Now, how can you get more information on a cultural fit as you're doing a reference check without crossing those boundaries where you could maybe then get sued?
Well, the most important thing to do during the interview is to make sure that this person, from a skills and experience perspective, is right for your company. If they are, then the reference check will determine whether, let's say, they're a team player or they're a sole contributor. And depending on the manager, they may need one or the other. So I suggest to my clients a number of questions that really help with determining a cultural fit. And here are four of them or five. What frustrates Joan? How does she show her frustration? What is the best way to manage John? In your experience, is Sylvia a better fit as a team member or as a sole contributor? Is there anything else that you feel I should know about David? And those are all questions that can help a manager determine if that person, even if they have the right skills and experience, is a cultural fit for their team.
Now, these will all help companies find that perfect candidate and make sure that that perfect candidate is actually going to work well with their team. Now, these questions won't lead to getting in trouble. And Bill, you're always so knowledgeable when it comes to these moments on helping train people. As companies maybe are listening, if they're interested in using your services, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Well, I'm RecruiterGuy.com. And that's, just click on the red banner, speak with Bill, and I'd be happy to spend a half hour with him on the phone with no charge. And that's pretty exciting for me. And I even have some exciting news, Maddie.
I was just about to ask you about your exciting news.
Thank you. Last week, I started my 5 to 8 minute series on YouTube titled recruiting conversations. And it's just going to be small pieces of information every time. And I'll probably have drop one or two per week. And it'll be talking about the entire recruiting process. And then if anybody has any further questions, they can certainly add their question to my video, and I'll be happy to respond to that question in a future video. Then yesterday, I learned that I was selected for admission to Marquis Who's Who in America. And pretty excited about that. Not everybody gets that. Since 1890 or something like that, only about 1 million people in the United States have been admitted to Marquis Who's Who in America. So for me, that was, a really nice recognition.
Bill, congratulations on all of your exciting news. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us, always giving us great information. Now, I have some other follow-up questions, but I think we have to wait and do those in a second interview.
Sounds good to me.
Bill, again, thank you. And what's the website one more time?
RecruiterGuy.com.
Bill, you're wonderful. If you are a company that's looking to make sure that you're asking the right questions during a reference interview, and these are important to do within your company, and Bill just gave you all that information why, then make sure that you just reach out and you connect yourself with Bill, the recruiter guy, because he's absolutely the best. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned.